This is James Robertson with Workspace Real Estate. I got a question today from a client. They asked me if I have a great relationship with my landlord, will that help me get a better deal on my renewal? And I think that's a great question. It's one of those things that not many people talk about, and it's kind of an elephant in the room. Landlords are in a very advantageous position when they deal with negotiations with tenants. Landlords are not in the position of moving their business if something happens. You know, if things don't work out, they're comfortable. Their business is not going to be interrupted. A tenant has a lot that's waiting in the wings when they're negotiating a deal. If things don't work out, they may have to move and spend thousands of dollars and months of downtime relocating and setting up stuff, and that's just not fun. Let's just be honest. So there's a lot of pressure on a tenant. They don't want to complain much. They want to make sure that they're easygoing. And there's an impression when I talk to clients a lot, well, look, if I'm really easy to deal with, is that going to translate into me getting a better deal on my renewal? So here's the answer to that question. It depends. In most cases, when you're dealing with a real estate investment trust, and I'm talking about big properties, I'm downtown right now, and if you guys can see the buildings around me, there are a lot of Class A buildings that are big, the Chevron, Exxon type buildings here that are more expensive. It won't matter in those cases because you have a group of people that are making a decision based on variables that have nothing to do with your relationship. When you're dealing with investors, groups of investors, it's the same thing. Class A and B buildings, those are going to be so large that they're more concerned with the pro forma or the metrics to measure how tenants should perform in cash flow, that your relationship doesn't matter at all. The only thing that it does affect is how you get along with the landlord broker, right? But that landlord broker has to answer to that committee, and that committee makes decisions based on what's good for the viability of that building and nothing else. When it comes to an individual owner, let's say that Joe Blow owns a building and it's a very small multi-tenant building, there's 3 or 4 tenants there, remember they own an industrial facility. Again, it's very small, just one owner. In that case, the landlord liking you can have a benefit. But here's something you need to think about too. If your relationship is based on you losing a negotiation, that's not a good relationship. If you have to pay more in rent or give more concessions than you should based on the market, that's not a good relationship. So even in the small cases where you know the guy personally, you know the owner, you have a great relationship, you get along fine, you owe it to yourself and to your business to make sure that you're going through the lease documents and making sure that all of those variables like rental rates, like how much free rent you get, whether or not you get billed out, all those things are taken care of on the front end and that they're competitive to the market because your tenancy has a value. Here's the flip side. If you disagree with what I'm saying, think about the landlord. They didn't write their lease themselves. They went to an attorney or they went to a landlord broker, a counterpart to a lot of the stuff that I do. And they got advice from counsel that advised them to get a document in place that will protect their property in almost every imaginable case so that the outcome's already predetermined. Once you sign that lease document, it's such a strong document that if you have conflict later, in most cases, if you look at your lease, it's already talked about in that lease and they already talk about how they're going to deal with that problem. The landlord had the foresight to do that in anticipation of what could possibly happen. Now look at yourself as a tenant. Have you taken those steps to protect your business? You may get along now great with the landlord, but what if there's an interruption in your business? What if you need to sublease and move out quickly? What if business, God forbid, what if things don't go as well and you need to make some changes that weren't anticipated? You're going to depend on the kindness of the landlord's heart, whether or not the business survives. You don't know what to do. And if you don't take care of those things, you're going to be in a situation possibly where the landlord has all the power and they can decide what's going to happen to you and you're at their mercy. That's never a good situation, especially when you're dealing with the ups and downs of business. So for the sake of your own business, always make it a point to have a great relationship with every landlord you have. But also, it's your responsibility to make sure that you're taking the time and working with your team, your commercial broker, your attorneys, to make sure that you're looking through that lease document, identifying opportunities to grow concessions, get more stuff back from the landlord, just to make sure things are fair. We're not saying that you should try to take advantage of the landlord just like they shouldn't take advantage of you, but you want an equitable arrangement. That's what it's all about. If it's not equitable, it's not a friendship. And if they're only nice to you because they're taking advantage of you, that's not a relationship worth having. So watch your back. Make sure you're taking care of the things you need to take care of as a business owner. I hope this information was helpful, and thank you for watching.